Well, we're going to keep going. Tranquility. It is a sense of our own path and how to stay on it without getting distracted by all the others that intersect it. It's not about beating the other guy or having more than others. It's about being who you are and being as good as possible at it without succumbing to all the things that draw you away from it. This is another quote by Jonah Leary. When you combine insecurity and ambition, you get an inability to say no to things. Insecurity and ambition. You say yes to everything. Can't do that. You need to know what you don't want and what your choices preclude. Got to know what you don't want and what you do want. They go hand in hand. Why do I do what I do? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why do you do what you do? The more you have and do, the harder maintaining fidelity to your purpose will be. The more critically you will need to be. Everyone buys into the myth that if they only had that or this, usually what someone else has, they would be happy. It may take getting burned a few times to realize the emptiness of this illusion. We all occasionally find ourselves in the middle of some project or obligation and can't understand why we're there. It will take courage and faith to stop yourself. I still go through this too, family. You got to question, why do you do what you do? Find out why you're after what you're after. Ignore those who mess with your pace. Let them covet what you have, not the other way around, because that's independence. Entitlement, control, and paranoia. A smart man or woman must regularly remind themselves of the limits of their powers and reach. Entitlement assumes, this is mine, I've earned it. At the same time, entitlement nickels and dimes other people because it can't conceive of valuing another person's time as highly as its own. It delivers tirades and pronouncements that exhaust the people who work for and with us, who have no choice other than to go along. It overstates our abilities to ourselves. It renders generous judgment of our prospects, and it creates ridiculous expectations. Control says it all must be done my way. Even little things, even inconsequential things. It can become paralyzing. Perfectionism or a million pointless battles fought merely for the sake of exerting it so. Paranoia thinks, I can't trust anyone. I'm in this totally by myself and for myself. It says I'm surrounded by fools. He who indulges empty fears earns himself real fears. Seneca said that. Be leery of entitlement, control, and paranoia. Managing yourself. It is not enough to have great qualities. We should also have the management of them. Quote by La Rochefort. As you become successful in your own field, your responsibility may begin to change. Days become less and less about doing and more about making decisions. Every project and goal deserves an approach fitted perfectly to what needs to be done. Responsibility requires a readjustment and then increased clarity and purpose. First, setting the top level goals and priorities of the organization and your life. Then enforcing and observing them to produce results and only results. Manage yourself accordingly. Beware of the disease of me. The ego needs honors in order to be validated. Confidence, on the other hand, is able to wait and focus on the task at hand, regardless of external recognition. Let's make one thing clear. We never earn the right to be greedy or to pursue our interest at the expense of everyone else. To think otherwise is not only egotistical, it's counterproductive. Meditate on the immensity. A monk is another quote, Evagrius Ponticus. These are all Greek philosophers. A monk is a man who is separated from all and who is in harmony with all. Sympathia. A connectedness with the cosmos. oceanic feeling, a sense of belonging to something larger, and realizing that human things are an infinitesimal point in the immensity of the things, the unlimited potential of everything. Who am I? What am I doing? What is my role in this world? Those are things you should be asking yourself. Creativity is a matter of receptiveness and recognition. Ego tells us that meaning comes from activity, that being the center of attention is the only way to matter. But creativity is a matter of receptiveness and recognition. By removing the ego, even temporarily, we can access what's left standing in relief. By widening our perspective, more comes into view. You got to widen that lens. The universe is infinite. Feel unprotected against the elements or forces or surroundings. Remind yourself how pointless it is to rage and fight and try to one-up those around you. Go out and put yourself in touch with the infinite and end your conscious separation from the world. Reconcile yourself a bit better with the realities of life. Realize how much came before you and how only wisp of it remains. Maintain your sobriety. The height of cultivation runs to simplicity. Quote by Bruce Lee. The ego tells us we're invincible, that we have unlimited force that will never dissipate. Sobriety is having command of oneself. We have to fight to stay sober, despite the many different forces swirling around our ego. We're not talking about abstinence from drugs or alcohol, obviously, but there certainly is an element of restraint to egoless sobriety, an elimination of the unnecessary and the destructive. Sobriety is the counterweight that must balance our success. For what often comes next, ego is the enemy. You must manage yourself in order to manage success. Courage lies between cowardice on one end and recklessness on the other. Courage lies between being a punk or bitch-ass motherfucker, excuse my language, and a reckless dude on the other side where you just have no restrictions. You just, you go from a weak-minded dude to a crazy dude. Courage is in the middle. What's difficult is to apply the right amongst the pressure at the right time in the right way for the right period of time, and the right car going in the right direction. That's the challenge. That's why right knowledge, Dr. Malachi Z. York talked about this, and we'll go over that later. Right knowledge is key. Siddhartha Buddha talked about the same thing. Men of great ambition have sought happiness and have found fame. Behind every goal is the drive to be happy and fulfilled. But when egotism takes hold, we lose track of our goal and end up somewhere we never intended. We know what decisions we must make to avoid that ignominious, even pathetic end, protecting our sobriety, eschewing greed and paranoia, staying humble and retaining ourselves of purpose, connecting to the larger world around us. The world conspires against us in many ways, and the laws of nature say that everything regresses towards the mean. You gotta look at the big picture and meditate on the immensity of what's in front of us and around us and inside of us. Once you connect to that higher, unlimited source, none of this stuff matters. And then the ego will no longer be your enemy. And on that note, we're going to stop. And I will see you on the other side. Peace.